Tell us about this sterilization. We'll come to the testing as well in a moment, but tell us about the sterilization and how confident you are that it creates good as new masks and how many you can do per day.
Yeah, thanks, Wilfred. So we are very confident. We actually did the R&D on this process about 5 years ago for the FDA. So we knew it worked. What we had to do is spin up quickly. So literally in 9 days from the time we had the idea, our team built the first system, tested it, and about 6 days into that, we got data back to the FDA. The FDA worked very diligently, and 9 days later from our submittal and a lot of back and forth, we actually got the approval. So we basically can do 80,000 masks a day per full system. And every system's made up of 4 containers. A container can hold up to 10,000 masks at a time, and we can do a couple cycles a day as we work through this. It's a relatively complicated process because you have to treat the masks that come back from the hospitals as if they're contaminated. But we have great confidence in this, and we've had the data to prove that it works.
It's such a great story, Lou. Sorry about the technical issues. I try to highlight companies like yours every single day that are really game changers as we fight this virus. So tell us how much you can ramp up that 10,000, I think you said, masks per day, and where those masks are getting cleaned and disinfected and sent. Are they going to hot zones like New York?
So thanks, Sarah. So right now, we're up and running in Columbus, Ohio. We're cleaning masks as we speak. We have a system on Long Island right now in New York. It will go operational right about now today, we believe. We just finished the build out in the last day or two. So that'll be up and running. We have a system that just arrived to Seattle. They take about 48 to 72 hours to get set up and test in. We also have one going to Boston on Sunday and another one to New York City right after that. We believe we can do at least 5 of these a week. We're working the supply chains, and our team's literally working around the clock. A lot of conversations the last few days with FEMA and the government to look at options of how they can help us move faster. Have talked about potential of many tens, maybe even 100 of these systems put around the country in the next few weeks.
And Lou, I'm interested, who are you going to most of all for guidance on what is needed? Is it local governments, state governments, or is it the federal government in terms of where you're setting up shop and whether you're doing more testing or more masks?
So we started working locally. We looked at the hot spots, working with the hospital associations to understand where the biggest shortages were, where they saw the most cases coming into. In recent days, we've had more and more conversations with FEMA, and we're starting to look to the feds to help us find the best places to put these. And then once we have those places picked, we're working with the local communities, the local health officials to figure out where we can put the system and what's the best way to work logistics to get to and from that to the hospitals.
And talk a little bit about, I know you've done this and it's huge and gotten the FDA approval. You're also working on rapid testing for COVID-19. What's the status of that?
Yeah, so Sarah, we started in late January. There was a day that it looked obvious. I think Singapore had over 100 cases that day that the virus was coming here. So our team went into action that day, and we actually have about half a dozen projects going on right now. So we've completed the one that we've talked about for cleaning masks. Just in the last 2 weeks, working with the Ohio State University, we've managed to we actually developed a new test that's very similar to the CDC test for COVID-19, but it uses slightly different equipment and slightly different reagents, which helps supply chain. We've worked that. We took equipment out of our labs. Ohio State took equipment out of their research labs. We combined it into their clinical labs, and we are now up and running. I think their leader told me they ran about 800 tests yesterday, going to 1,000. We have the capacity for 4,000 local tests a day with about a 5-hour turn.
And you're a nonprofit organization? How do the economics here work for you?
We are. So that's been very interesting so far. We came into this with a very strong balance sheet. We were growing and doing a lot of interesting work. So we told our team, the heck with it, just run fast. I'll figure that part out later. So we've started by recovering for use costs for the organizations that we're doing tests for, doing masks for, doing other items. We think there's a good chance the federal agencies will be able to come in maybe in the next week or two and get us a contract. If that happens, we'll be able to drop some of those costs immediately and get the recovery costs out and basically just operate at whatever it costs to actually run the operations.
Keep it coming. Lou Von Thayer, thank you so much for joining us.